We'll just start with say and spell your name.
It's Beau Young, Beauyoung.
Great. Nice to meet you, Beau.
Nice to meet you.
Where did you grow up?
In Abbeville.
Oh yeah, Vermilion Parish. Okay.
Born and raised over there. Just moved to Lafayette Parish in August
Oh, wow.
2016 because of the flood.
Wow.
House in Abbeville got flooded, so we moved up to right around Youngsville, but Lafayette address.
Yeah. What was it like to grow up in Abbeville? We'll go way back first.
Way back. Abbeville was great. I like Abbeville because of its historic downtown. All of that. I was part of junior ambassadors and things like that, and whenever I was growing up, so I got to actually give tours of the churches and some other places down there and talk with some of the older generation about what it was like growing up in the 1900s in Abbeville. So it's very cool.
Very cool, yeah. I have a special place in my heart for Abbeville. I got married in Abbeville, so at the
really?
Caldwell House.
At the Caldwell House?
At the Caldwell House. So I have a
Beautiful.
It's
place.
beautiful, absolutely. It's Abbeville has a certain charm that other towns just don't have.
Is it the Caldwell House? Is that the haunted?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-oh, please tell
Great
the
story. Yeah, can I?
Yes, please.
In high school, some of my best friends were 3 cousins. They were all girls. They had a birthday that fell around the same time, and their uncle actually bought the Caldwell House
Oh, wow, yeah.
before it was the Caldwell House. Or maybe it was the Caldwell House before. I don't know how long it's been the Caldwell House.
Sure.
But they had their birthday party there, and they did the whole 9 yards. They took out Ouija board and things like that just to try to scare everybody. I got a girlfriend for the first time. This was 6th grade, 7th grade. Lost a girlfriend for the first time the same night because I scared her as she was going into the kitchen. I snuck in and rawr, and she cried the rest of the night. So, yeah.
Rough night.
It's kind of haunted. Yeah, it was kind of.
It's haunted for different reasons.
Exactly.
For you.
Exactly.
Very cool.
All kinds of memories there. But it's a really beautiful house. He used to tell some crazy stories about whenever he was moving in, he'd bring the boxes inside, and the boxes that were lined up on either side of the stairway. One of them actually, it was in his way. It kind of scooted and scooted off to the side.
No.
It's like, okay, maybe I don't want to stay here all night. Maybe we'll just see how it goes.
So did you stay the night? Did you, or was
Yes.
it a stay the night party in a scary house? Or?
Well, it was just a party. It was
Yeah,
probably
I get it
till
now.
11.
Oh yeah, that's scary enough for
6th or 7th grade. It might have been till 8. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
But it felt like midnight.
Yeah, definitely. That's an interesting birthday party to have in a haunted house. Good idea.
It was fun.
Good to know.
Well, parts of it.
Yeah, really. So where did life take you after Abbeville? I know we'll certainly talk about your past year, but where did life take you after high school, for example?
After high school, I went straight to, actually, one of the friends I was speaking of, me and her moved to New Orleans. I started off at the University of New Orleans for a semester, then I've been to LSU, went to UL for a while, SLCC. I think that's it so far.
So far.
Yeah, 7 years of college with one of those no degrees yet. Still trying to find my
Lifetime
niche.
student.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, lifetime learner. Yes,
The
excellent.
Van Wilder of Louisiana.
So, where are you today then? What do you do for a living, or
Well,
where's life?
life right now is kind of crazy. In January of this past year, I had just finished working downtown homeless outreach for Lafayette. Downtown Lafayette had an initiative to try to get as many of the homeless population into permanent supportive housing as they could. Just to help them. Just
Absolutely.
to go out, but they didn't have anybody out there that was just going around and talking to them. So I fell into the position. Before that, I was working with my father's company. I had been there since I was 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And whenever the flood happened in August, whenever I moved out of Abbeville, I always said whenever I hit 35, if I wasn't absolutely sure that I wanted to take over the company one day, that I wanted to kind of branch out and see what else was out there. And I took this interview at Catholic Services of Acadiana for homeless outreach coordinator, and it was about a fourth of my pay, and I couldn't turn it down. It was just incredible, the best job I've ever had.
Wow.
I was also in the Marine Corps from 2001 to 2009. Mm-hmm. I was in the Battle of Fallujah in 2004 and 2005, and in Iraq in general in 2004 and 2005. Whenever I came back home, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and depression, anxiety, moral injury, things like that. And I'm 70% service disabled. In January of this past year, it finally took its toll, where I become pretty much unemployable. Had to leave the job because of PTSD, depression, anxiety. It's a weird creature, especially working with a homeless population. Whenever there's highs, there are extreme highs. Whenever there's lows, it affects you personally, on many different levels. Right. And currently unemployed because I filed for disability benefits with the VA and with Social Security. So I'm haven't worked since January, but waiting for that to come in and then trying to see how much I'll be able to do getting back into homeless outreach. So right now I am a full-time musician that only does it part-time, I guess.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for your service.
Oh, I appreciate it.
That's a big deal, definitely.
Appreciate it.
So full-time musician. So what is your style? What do you?
My style, I have 2 albums to my name. I recorded 2 albums whenever I got back from Iraq. Most of them, they're all originals. They fall probably more under the country genre. We started a band in 2010. Started off with the originals and just the favorites. And it grew into, we have a repertoire of about 250 different songs that we play.
Wow.
Great group of guys. Yeah. It's the Beau Young Band. We play festivals and things like that. So the genre is country to southern rock to hip hop to funk to 70s to everything in between. Yeah. We have a blast doing it.
Yeah, that's the important part. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So do you compose any of your own music then? I know you said you
Yes.
You do, okay.
Yes,
yeah,
we still do all. We still do a lot of the originals off the first 2 albums, and we're about to record a third. Nice. Actually, it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier. I just released not the single to the song because we're still in the recording phase of it, but a video that really took off on Facebook and YouTube. It's a song about the VA and PTSD and things like that, trying to raise awareness for veterans who may be scared to come out and say it. Sure. As a Marine or any military person, you have that armor, you get that big bravado, and women veterans also. I don't know if you can say bravado for for them as well, but that sense of pride and that armor.
Absolutely.
And whenever you're going through things like that, it's really hard to take off that armor. So we have this song that is about to be released as a single that I am so excited about, because it's like I finally let everything out, and I've been doing all I can to get it out as much as possible, and to let other veterans know that we're home, we're safe. You don't.
Oh, wow.
You can take off the armor. You can talk about it.
Wow.
So that's my main focus right now.
Sure, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Well, what are some other themes of your music then?
They range.
Yeah.
Whenever I got back from Iraq in 2005, it was very songwriter style.
Sure.
A lot of some stuff that happened whenever I got back, and some things that happened over there. And the first album was really acoustic, laid back.
Sure.
The second album was let's party. It was a full band instead of just me and the guitar.
Yeah.
Zydeco without the accordion. Actually, I think we do have accordion on a few of them, but it was the two-stepping and all of that instead of the sad other thing. This album is going to be incredible. It's all originals again, but I'm finally writing again in the style that I want to be writing.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like Mark Broussard-ish type. Mark Broussard's a big influence. Tab been one, guys like that, especially Mark from around here.
Yeah.
So.
Really. Very cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. So you finally feel like maybe this is more of you getting out there.
Yes, exactly. Instead of keeping that armor up, putting on that persona. Right.
Definitely. Very cool. I'm excited to hear it then. Definitely. Thank you for your candor too.
Oh, no problem.
I know that that's not an easy thing to talk about and so openly, and hopefully it's with the, I know it's with the goal of helping others, so I hope other people are able to hear that message.
Me too. It's been hard for a long time to even mention it to somebody, even close friends and relatives other than a stranger. But the more, once I started talking about it, it's probably been the most help that I've gotten so far.
Wow, yeah.
So, yeah, definitely if anybody else has depression, anxiety, or anything that they're going through, combat veterans, find somebody and just let it out. I promise you. It'll help.
Does the body good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It does, yeah. We'll kind of switch gears for a second there.
Okay.
Tell me how you first got involved with AOC.
AOC, last year, whenever I started with Catholic Services, I was downtown 100% of the time, walking around, talking with everybody. Catholic Services had their offices right off of St. John, so for me to go back and forth was pretty quick. I was also helping out at that outreach center towards the end, and they were off of University. So I needed a place to maybe write up some stuff and more unwind. Yes, because it's an incredible beast whenever you're going out there and going nonstop talking to the homeless about their problems and what's going on, how can I help you, how did you become this way, or what led you to this, and even just an hour to go and compose yourself.
Right.
And AOC was, I had came the year before, talked about membership, or I think I just picked up a brochure. I don't even know if I talked with anybody. Then whenever I came back, in January or February, they told me that they did veteran discounts. And whenever they told me the price, I can't even remember what it was, I said, oh wow, that's not bad. Per month? They said, no, for the year. I went, okay, sign me up.
Sold, yeah.
So I get to use the recording studio, the media room, the computers, all of that. And they said, yeah, so I was a member, and I started doing probably either an hour during the day if I could squeeze in time and it was available. And then towards the end of the day, once my work was done, I would come in here and spend 2 to 3 hours just writing, using some of the sound equipment, some of the media, using the computers. I've used this room because the other rooms were occupied and this one was open for a while.
Yeah.
So I was songwriting in here.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Very cool. What was your first impression of AOC?
I loved it. I had never been behind the door.
Yeah.
I had seen the television studio up front, and I thought that was cool. I was like, wow. I guess they do little shows right here, and that's what AOC is, getting an open channel. Then whenever I became a member and they opened up the doors to the back, I was like, oh, this is what AOC is. This is a place where if you're creative, if you have any zest to want to create, whether it be digitally, audio, anything, this whole live room can be turned into a studio for you if you want to make a show. It's incredible what you can do in here.
We agree. What surprised you most about AOC besides, after walking through the door and seeing it?
I think what surprised me most was probably 2 things. One was this room. I'd kind of, whenever I first joined up front, they were telling me about computers you can use and the podcast room and the studio and things like that. But whenever they showed me this room and they were talking about either a music video or a television series or the different things that you could do, this is a soundstage. This is like in the middle of downtown Lafayette, where you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah. Right by the bus station, the Greyhound, the post office.
Right.
Well,
I mean, it's incredible. And the second thing was the people I met right away. And he's going to kill me if I don't remember his name, but I'm not going to be able to remember it. He's up front right now. Othello?
Othello, yeah.
I came in, whenever I would come in during the day, I would bring my small acoustic guitar. And finally he came and he said, I see you bring the acoustic, what do? Do you? I said, I have a band and I sing and I songwrite and everything. He said, oh, well, I do a little bit of that too. And me and him hit it off right away. He wanted to do a cover of a Gnarls Barkley song, so I hurried up and learned the acoustic, and he ran from behind the desk one time just to sing it, and whenever he started singing, I went, wow. And he had another friend who could sing like that too, and he knew some other guys who could put some drums to it, and it was like instant community.
Yeah.
It was great.
I love that, instant community. Very cool. Very cool way to put that. I'll have to use that. What is your dream project to work on or to produce? I mean, besides your music, I'm sure that is your dream. Maybe if there's some other dreams out there.
Well, there was one. Whenever I started doing downtown homeless outreach, I started thinking about, man, what could I do to raise a little bit more awareness? I don't know, apparently I like to raise awareness, but I guess that's a good thing. I would love to interview. Well, first it started off as thinking of maybe a blog or some type of newspaper, like a Times, but a real small, of getting to know some of the homeless who have been here. Not the passerbys. The passerbys, they'll stay for a few weeks and then get on the road. But there have been some who have lived downtown for over 20 years. And I would love for the general public to get to know who these people are, the reason why they're in the situation they are, because everybody has the same prerogative about why they're homeless or what happened to them. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes alcohol, drugs, prison are a factor. Sometimes prison is a factor because it's an only option. Sometimes there are so many stories that will break your heart to hear about them. And started off me thinking about writing it down, and then once I became a part of AOC, I started thinking about learning, doing the orientation and going through the classes and learning how to use the cameras and actually sitting kind of like this and interviewing some of these men and women and sharing their story.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody has a story.
They have some great ones too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom there that we don't take advantage of.
That's one thing that really blew my mind whenever I first started, whenever they started opening up to me and allowing me to become part of their community. Whenever they started opening up, I started opening up about my past as well, because some things were intertwined with theirs, maybe not to a certain extent, but whenever I started opening up, they would open up more to me. And one of the things that always stuck out to me was a man, we had just got into a house, we were moving him in. I gave him a ride to the new house to show him, and he was so excited. And he kept talking about he got to see his grandchildren. They were going to come visit, and he had a place to show them. And I said, you know, man, that's great. Make sure you're staying with the program and all of that. He said, I'm going to stay with it, and partly because, you know, you've been helping me since the beginning and all of that. He said, and I know you got your problems too. He said, but you know what? Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron, and it was a Bible verse. But whenever he said iron sharpens iron, I was like, wow. Because I could feel myself getting better, not a better person, but feeling better on the inside. And it wasn't because of self-gratification. It was more iron sharpens iron. These guys were showing me what I was doing kind of wrong and how to fix it. Very cool experience.
Very cool, definitely. What are you looking forward to for the rest of 2017? I know we talked about your album, of course. Is that the focus, or are there other things you're just excited about this year?
No, this year, let's see, my oldest, she's 7. She just started 2nd grade, which I'm not that excited about. I wish she was still kindergarten, pre-K, or not even in school yet. But my son, he's 4, or about to be 4 in a few days. He is starting pre-K. So it's a brand new world for him. We're packing 2 lunches instead of just one for one to go to school. And then I have my youngest is about to be 2 in October, and she's at a handful. I'm just, well, no, I can't say I'm excited she's turning 2 because then maybe the terrible 2s would be, but I'm pretty sure she's bad. Oh, so my grandma used to say, "Saw some shockwave." She's bad. But no, just watching them grow is one of the best things. The rest of the year, other than that, is because of financial hardships and things like that, we're getting out of the house we're living in now, moving into a new one. So I'm looking forward to selling the house we're in now, get that weight off our shoulders, and the music is, and finding out what the next chapter will be.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a big year then.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What are you reading right now? If you read. Some people don't.
Mostly, the only thing I actually read is probably different blogs online.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one that I'm stuck on right now. Actually, there is one, Mark and Angel. It's like different, it's a lot of positive messages and like 30 days of to try to be a better person or
Sure.
these things. And I take that back. I am reading something for the first time in a long time. The Bible. I started going to church this year again at OSC out in Lafayette, and wow, it's a great place. And it really got me back into wanting to read the Bible and just get into it. I'm actually playing guitar with them with the worship
Oh, good. Very cool.
team, so that's very cool.
Yeah, definitely. I've been to the Lafayette campus one time, and I liked it. I like the size of it. It's very good. Let's see. All right, let's talk about music for a little while, since you are a musician after all.
Okay.
If you could have one playlist for the rest of your life, which bands or artists are on it?
Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Tab Benoit, Mark Broussard. Wow, only one playlist? And
Well, you can have as many people as you want on it, but
okay,
who's on
everybody.
it? Yeah, everybody.
No, can I do that? No.
Sure.
Those 4 right there are what
Big deal.
I'm listening to, and really digging right now. I actually got to meet Tab Benoit a couple weeks ago. It was the first time I ever got to see him play live.
Wow.
I mean, he's from down the road in Houma.
Yeah.
Loved all his songs, always wanted to see him live. And for the past 5 years, every time he was around, we also had a show, so I couldn't go. And he was playing at the Rockin' Bowl with Louisiana LaRue a couple weeks ago. And at the last minute, I grabbed my wife and I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
She was like, we don't have a place to stay. We don't have a hotel or anything. I said, we don't need one. Let's just go. Watch him. We'll drive back.
Yep, definitely.
We went. We got back at 4 a.m, but I got my guitar signed by him, walked in the back. We spoke for 20 minutes about recording, where I'm going to be recording at Dockside is where he recorded his last album. So,
awesome.
Very cool experience.
Very cool, yeah. Worth that drive. Then.
Definitely.
There you go.
Definitely.
It's always worth that drive.
Yes.
Definitely. As a child or during your childhood, what were your favorite books or movies or sports heroes, whatever? What were you into?
I was into baseball. Baseball was my biggest. As far as baseball heroes, whenever I was growing up, I remember looking up to Hank Aaron. He had the most home runs of all time until Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa decided to keep switching the number for like 4 or 5 years. I don't even know who's on top now. So he was that sports hero. The other side was, I guess, music, because I started young. So I looked at George Strait and Garth Brooks at the time. They were the biggest. What was the other part? Books and
movies, that kind of stuff.
Movies, I remember us as friends going every weekend, but I can't remember what we went to see or anything.
Exactly.
Books, I used to be into Goosebumps. I remember that one. Encyclopedia Brown. And I read comic books, but I wasn't like a Marvel or a superhero guy.
Yeah.
I was that off kid who read Archie.
Yeah.
Had a lot of Archies.
Liked Archie's. Very cool. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I was trying to think that first thing. I remember the first thing I ever told my mom. I can't remember how old I was, maybe 3rd, 4th grade. I said, Mom, I know what I want to be when I grow up. She said, what? I said, a rocket scientist. She said, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Then it probably lasted a month, and I was like, okay, maybe not rockets, maybe aim a little bit lower. But mine was always a radio DJ.
Yeah.
I went to school. I started college in mass communications. I wanted to do broadcasting of some sort.
Sure.
Finally got my chance to, in 2011, I started working at K-Ball with Paul Marks and those guys in sales, and Paul knew I was a musician, all of that, and I was easy to talk with. So he said, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? You got a show? I said, no. He said, you got one now, every Saturday night. So
Sure.
I finally got to live my dream and be a radio DJ for a while.
Did you like it?
I did.
Was the dream up to, the anticipation of it?
Well, K-Ball didn't get as many backstage concert tickets as I was hoping. Unless
you were looking for those
I was
perks.
looking for Gino or Clifton Chevy Carey or something like that. But I also did TV in high school. I was the Dr. Pepper TV teen reporter for TV 10, I believe.
Yeah.
Won a contest to do that, so I was able to be on the program a few times. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I kind of rather the TV side.
Oh, okay.
Shows off a little bit more personality.
Yeah, definitely.
Be a little more mobile instead of behind the microphone.
Definitely. Sorry, let's sneeze. Let's see. If you could have dinner with 5 famous people, or just people from your life or from history, who would they be?
That's a good question. I'll go back with Ray Charles. That would be a great one. Mark's from around here, and I've still never met him. I mean, I know every musician around here. I've either opened or played with most of them. Mark, I'd like to sit down and talk to you just to see where all that soul came from. And the others, I would have to say, it'd probably be family members. My grandfather, grandmother who passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It'd be a fun day.
Yeah. What are you most excited about or passionate? I have a feeling I know the answer to this, but maybe there's always outliers out there that maybe we didn't talk about yet.
Most excited and passionate about. One's being a dad. Not being a dad, being the best dad that I can be. Part of the music. Sometimes I have to do things in the music where the kids can't come. It's a late night or something like that, but the music that lets out emotions in me that are helping with like the depression and anxiety, or making me a better father. So I think everything kind of combined together, but most passionate about would be being a great father first.
That's a great answer. Great answer. What's your superpower?
My superpower?
Yeah.
I can actually fly.
Yeah. Tell me about this. No.
I'm so short that I always pray, please let me. My superpower is making people laugh. I've always been the guy who could de-escalate a situation really fast. I used to work in bars a lot. My uncle owned a bar. I was the DJ, bartender, all of that, and I think I stopped more fights than the cops did. Just from
making them laugh.
Exactly. It helps whenever you. It helps in every situation, but especially whenever you're meeting new people, or if you're doing something like downtown homeless outreach. First thing, breaking the ice is the biggest part, and I think I'm decent at that.
Very cool. What is your spirit animal and why?
My spirit animal. Somebody said one the other day, and I went, ooh, that's a good one. I'd take that one too. I'd love to say a honey badger, but he left LSU and all of that, Tyron. Man. I'll go with lion. I'm a Leo, so.
Fair enough.
Every time whenever somebody says what's spirit animal, that's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah. Why is that?
One, the Leo part.
Sure.
I always associated with it, and I just can't wait to be king.
Nice. There you go. Silly me for asking. Too funny. What inspires you?
Everything.
I love when people say that. It's so genuine.
I am I'm a night owl. I'll stay up all night long, and the things that inspire me, the thoughts that come to me are about what went on the day before, or everything, and it could be anything, especially in songwriting. Conversation I had with somebody that day, if whenever the sun's setting, it's setting just right to where it's bright red and it just looks like Louisiana. Sound of the rain, literally everything.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of musicians have that answer because it's so true. You just never know when that inspiration's going to strike.
Right.
Or with what.
Right. Some of my favorite times that songs that came out were actually two songs, one on the first album and one on the second album, I was in a dead sleep, and while I was sleeping, I had a dream that I was writing a song about a certain topic. And I woke up and literally grabbed the pen and pad and wrote exactly what was happening in the dream. And those are still some of my favorite songs to this day. Come out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. What achievement are you most proud of?
My kids. They are super smart. The little ones, just because she's not, well, she's talking now, trying to talk. She's still bad, but she's smart. And they are just incredible. The things they can do. My oldest, 7-year-old, whenever she was starting pre-K, she was already reading at the top of her class, and kindergarten, it just kept growing from there. My son seems to be following same footsteps, and my youngest, I'm sure she'll do the same. But most proud of that, and I'd say that.
That's a good answer. How would you like to be remembered?
Legacy. I always think about legacy. I would like to be remembered as I want to be talked about for more generations than my children's children. Like my father's dad, who passed a couple years back, he was one of the, not the, I won't say founders of Abbeville, but he moved to Abbeville and started businesses. He was in the construction, the dairy business, the concrete business, and everyone I think I've ever met in Abbeville older than 65 would say, "Who's your daddy?" Or I'd say, "Oh, my dad's Eddie Young," and they'd say, "Roy Young's your grandpa?" I'd say, "Yeah." He said, "Man, he gave me a job back in 19 whatever." A lot of people either worked for him or worked with him, and they'll always kind of remember the name. I think mine, if I'll be able to leave something, it'll be more on the creative side. But that's what I'd like. I'd just like to be remembered, not anything specific, just remembered.
Nothing wrong with that. One final question.
Okay.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
3 words. These have to be good.
No pressure. Can be 3 separate words or 3 strung together words or whatever you need.
Let's see. Afraid. Fearless. And creatability. I made up that word not too long ago.
Nice. We should use that around here.
Creatability?
Yeah. Remember that music?
It's copyrighted. Yeah,
Oh,
but
dang it.
I'll let you.
You'll allow it. Yeah. Good words. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. You survived. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good job.
Thanks.
Good.